Welcome to this special edition of the Scooby Panel. Today we are talking about Go-Go Mystery Machine. That is the anime series that was announced on June 12th, 2024 at the Annecy Animation Festival in France, and it's supposed to air on Cartoon Network. According to Variety, while visiting Japan on the ultimate foodie adventure, Shaggy and Scooby-Doo unwittingly unleash hundreds of mischievous mythical monsters that are now causing trouble all over the country. Scooby turns to his uncle, Daisuke-Doo, and magical friend Etsuko, and gadget whiz Toshiro to help solve the mystery and catch the monsters. So what were your first thoughts when you guys saw this? Joel?
My first thought was, I'm surprised it took them this long to do an anime.
Yeah.
That was my first thought. And then I was like, I don't think this is for me. But then I read the synopsis. And I'm like, this isn't bad. This is kind of like 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, where they unleash a bunch of monsters and then they have to go, I guess, catch them or contain them all. And I like how we have like an Asian relative of Scooby, it seems. And I was kind of missing Daphne, Velma, Fred, but I'm like, I can understand why they went in this direction.
Yeah. Guy, what were your thoughts?
Well, I have a lot, and here's why. So I know a lot about anime, and the thing is that I'm wondering what took so long too. I'm like, why did this take so long? You know, anime and manga is they have everything coming out of Japan. Those are the largest intellectual properties in the world. So from a company standpoint, I've worked at companies all my life. For since I was like 18, I started at like doing assistant work at Marvel on like Deadpool stuff with X-Force and stuff, and all the way through, and all kinds of stuff with 20th Century Fox and everything. But the thing about it is you need to know where the biggest markets are, who you're marketing to, and ever since the late 60s, early 70s, anime has been here with Speed Racer and other animations like that, Battle of the Planets, which was Gotcha Man, and things like that have been here and have been developed. I mean, you look at Power Rangers, all Japanese and everything, and you go, okay, this stuff has been selling here for 55 years at minimum. Okay, it's bigger now than ever. You have access to anime stations 24/7. There's nothing that comes out in anime that it's not like cartoons here. You'll have anime come out, but for the most part, they become almost every one of them becomes something. Where here in America, you'll get a season or two, and then animation's gone. Season or two, animation's gone. You could be lucky to get 5 seasons out of something, which then it goes into syndication with 5 seasons. But it's very different, So the fact that they're doing this is I thought was a good thing. I like the name. I like the premise. I like that we have different characters, new characters. I don't like changing the old characters necessarily. Now, I don't mind if they're drawn different and everything, and I don't have a problem with anyone, people changing and stuff. But I prefer when people take the time as creators to just build and grow that world with other characters. Now, the way to do it right is what they're doing. They're going, hey, we're not taking, Scooby's in it, which he should be in anything Scooby-Doo. I'll just say that, and we'll leave the Velma talk till next time. But for me, that character, everyone knew it from the beginning. Once he was made, Iwao Takamoto took a Great Dane and changed him, made him goofy, made his legs a little different, and created a life into Scooby-Doo. We almost didn't have a Scooby-Doo of that a Great Dane. Whew, tragedy averted. And you got to remember who created a lot of this stuff. Really sat down and thought it out and made it. I'm a character designer, and one thing you have to do is there's a very very thin line between creating something that works and creating something that doesn't. And that line's right here. And you could be just over that line and you got to hit because you need the hooks. It seems like they've figured out the hooks. You know, let's not forget, Ninja Turtles really became great and world known after it hit Japan and the Japanese companies started producing toys and everything like that. That's when it really hit, and then animation and all that stuff. The Japanese have this magic touch, and I love the diversity of the characters. I like that. I personally have people of all different races in my family. And my family is a melting pot. Asian, Black, everything. Mexico, Puerto Rico, everything. And I like seeing that diversity of character, but I like seeing it done right. I like seeing new characters made that can interact. And the thing that I like about this is it looks like they're taking the theme of Scooby and Shaggy, their buddyhood. These guys are the best of friends, and they're inseparable. It's like when you meet someone you're going to get married to, you can argue, you can be happy, you can have no money, you can have a lot of money, but that person's always like, oh well, we can't pay the electric bill today. Let's huddle in a blanket together. Oh man, we're loaded with money. Let's go on this vacation together. Well, I want to go there. I want to go here. All right, how about we split it, or something like that. We go here, there, but let's do it together. Scooby and Shaggy are that. I mean, they're the greatest match made in heaven. And Scooby, that show is about, to me, it's all about best friends and about best friends in a way that it was the Breakfast Club before there was the Breakfast Club. Look at it. It's the Breakfast Club. That's what that is. Now, all they needed was a dog on the Breakfast Club and we'd be good, But this show, I think, is I want to give it its chance. I want to give it its due. And the fact that they're looking for, what was it again? What was they're out on a foodie hunt or something. What was it again?
Ultimate Foodie Adventure.
Yeah, Ultimate Foodie Adventure. So this will go along with your videos of the Scooby cookbook that you've been doing, which I've been liking very much, by the way. I haven't done any of them yet, but I love the videos.
Thank you.
But I think that is what they are. That's the thing that they always shared was food. So right already off the bat, they're naming it in the way they should. They're creating new characters to interact with them. They're creating new lore that doesn't interfere with old lore. As far as what I know so far, the Mystery Machine itself is a character, so I love that idea, so like everything that seemed to be missing from some late stuff coming out lately is something that, like, we really need Scooby, we do. And I'm just super happy that anything Scooby-Doo is coming out. First of all, well, let me scratch that for a moment. Let me back up a couple of years, but I'm happy that Scooby-Doo stuff is coming out, and the fact that nobody does monsters better than Japanese. The Japanese have a handle on kaiju, right? So I don't think we're going to have a problem here when it comes to monsters. And what are we going to get out of it? All these new designs. And, people who are going to see this as kids are, as a creator, as someone who does this for a living, you want to capture the audience that grew up with it and the new audience alike, if you can. Create a family environment out of it and make it something that everyone can see. Because if it's something that everyone can see, you keep the heart of what it was made for in the first place. And parents are used to watching cartoons. Anyone who thinks that parents aren't used to watching cartoons has never had a child, okay? Because we all watch it. And to say that we're all disinterested in everything that's going on, I remember going in, talking to, for meetings for the school and stuff, and we'd be talking about what cartoons our kids watch, and then kind of falling into those, oh yeah, on this cartoon and on that cartoon, and we knew all the characters and we knew the songs and everything. So to play it as if that doesn't have to remain is not the way to think. And this seems to look like it's ticking all those boxes of what I would do if I was creating something like that and saying, oh, what do I do with a project? Who creates the greatest IPs? We already have an intellectual property, but if we're going to create it, and the, one thing that I noticed, sometimes every once in a while, I go, I don't want this to change. I don't want this. I don't want that. This is from here. This is from there. This is my thing. This is the thing. This is how it's supposed to work. But as brands grow, we're not the only ones. We are not the only people. Just because we're okay. Well, I guess we can't like the Beatles because they're from England, so we better not like the Beatles. The Beatles are owned by England. I don't think so. They are, but they're not. But they are, but they're not. You know what I'm saying? So I think that the fact that Scooby can have a global audience and then grow that global audience it's something. As a creator, it affects me emotionally because I go, I don't want to go on the web. I don't want to see things. But what they seem to be doing there is, at least in this series, is creating a help space for us, a safe space for us, a global space in Scooby-Doo with the heart of it. That's everything.
Yeah. For me, my first thought was, why didn't they just pick up Mystery Pups? And I mean, the show hasn't technically been canceled. They were shopping for a new network. Cartoon Network could very easily show the show. Why didn't they pick that up? It seems like such a great way to introduce young kids to Scooby-Doo. And it's kind of a shame that it's not happening yet. I hope somebody at some point does pick up Mystery Pups. My second thought was, is this show going to see the light of day, or is it going to be canceled?
I was thinking the same thing.
Everything that, except for Velma, that they've announced has been canceled. So are we actually going to see this show? Or is it just, we're going to announce this, but we're going to finish it, and then we're just never going to show it to you because we need a tax write-off? I didn't want to bring up the tax write-off thing and stuff like that, but the cat's out of the bag for people who aren't in the industry. There's two things you need to do as a company. There's one objective: stay alive. That's the first one. Stay alive. Number two, when you own intellectual properties, you must prove to the world that you're the owner. You cannot, even if you license it out and everything, and even if you have a license, if you let everyone run rampant with your stuff, or don't show that you own it and enforce that you own it, you'll lose it. You're at risk. So companies don't want to be at risk. So like in the 80s, was it? Early 90s? No, I think it was 80s. The Fantastic Four came out. Roger Corman or whatever made a Fantastic Four movie. It actually wasn't as insanely horrible as people like to say it was. When you really get down to the brass tacks of it, they had like $4 and change in their pocket to make it. But the reason why they made it is because that company has to enforce that they are the owners of that property, and they must put something out. Now, let's say they go, well, we don't have anything we want to put out. Well, we have this much in our budget. Put it out. It may see the light of day. It may not. But we're enforcing what we are and what we own, and we're continuing to develop it as well.
Plus, they're testing the waters. If they do that, they're testing the waters. Now, the X-Men series, there was a Japanese anime style X-Men series in the 90s, I think, late 90s or early 2000s. And it might have been early 2000s. Um, and I was like, I don't know about that. You know, at the time, I thought it was a good thing. Just I didn't know if they would understand how to keep the characters as they are culturally. They did great, and it was drawn better than any animation I've ever, best animations I've ever seen. And I was like, wow, I'm glad I gave it a shot. Eventually, it did come on TV, and it was dubbed and everything. And with animation being dubbed, it's much easier in many ways to watch. If it's especially if it's American characters who are being dubbed in American, voice, because we're used to that, seeing them that way. But those things really matter. So it's like most of when the WB canceled a lot of their films and stuff, people are like screaming and yelling, and I understand because I don't want them to cancel this stuff. But going from the other side of the table, as someone who works in these companies for all these years, whether I like it or not, I do understand it. And they have to do those things. It's unfortunate. It really is. And as a creator and as a fan, as a fan, I don't want that. I want to see everything that's freaking made that's from something that am hoping for, especially when they make announcements and posters and look what we're making, you know. But I think they still have to test the waters on that. And let's not forget how long did the original Scooby-Doo last? It's a year and a half, season and a half. It wasn't 5 seasons or 10 seasons. It was a year. It was a season and a half, and then it came back, and then had what, another 2 seasons or season and a half or whatever it was. So you go, oh my gosh, that's not possible. It's a phenomenon. But sometimes too, you got to look at it in that same respect. You go, if Scooby was able to do that back then for us as children, and then when it came back, we were like, oh man, yeah, Scooby Doo, Scooby Doo. Again, I don't know if any of you guys, I would imagine, were not around at that time, but I was there when it came out. And the companies, even though time changes, they don't think it any. They're like, oh, we could create that if it has a year and a half. We could get actually a lot out of it. And then we go into marketing. And then even if it doesn't do well and we pull it, or, I think they're going to show it. I think they're definitely going to let it air. But I think it's also to promote it elsewhere. America's not the only country with money. American consumers are not the only consumers with money, And I personally know people in Hollywood and everything. And I was even working on some stuff that was not for the American audience. When I was an actor years ago, I did a Pall Mall cigarette commercial. I didn't have to smoke on screen or smoke, so I was fine. But it was for the German film market, not for America. But hey, there's people all over the world who watch television and film. What's wrong with that market? So, we have to open our eyes to the fact that there's so much more going on, whether we like it or not. And usually, myself as a fan as well, I go, oh, come on, don't do that. Oh, come on, I want to see that Scooby film. You made the film. Show me the dang film. What? Why not? But then you go, oh, from their perspective, are they getting the discount? Are they getting the tax break they were supposed to get? If they're not getting that $20 million tax break, okay, now that's cutting into everything. And you go, okay, well, how much is promotion? Oh, that's 20 million too. Yeah, well, the whole thing costs 50 million. Oh, but if we take that, if we don't air it, we have 40 million in write-offs for the other $200 million film we just produced. And eventually we'll release it, probably, but maybe not. But now we have a huge tax write-off because it's not going to be worth enough for us, because then we have to pay royalties to the voice actors or actors and to the production, and we have then and there's you go, oh my gosh, when you start adding all that up, you go, oh wow, I see this game. I see this. This is a game of money and taxes and intellectual property ownership. So how many people do that? How many fans sit there and go, "Oh, this is intellectual property ownership," blah blah blah. They don't, and that's not what fans should be doing. Really, they should be. But from that perspective, I always go, "Okay, I get why you're doing it. Please don't do it. Please, God, let me see it, and I'll spend the money to see it." But when they do it for that reason, as a company, as someone who works for companies, which I've done for, like I said, for a long time, I have learned things that there's so many reasons why they do these things that once you know it, you don't want to excuse it, but at least you know it. It's not a malicious thing.
Yeah, as a fan, I want to see the stuff, and it really irritates me when they cancel stuff. But I think the biggest thing for me that irritates me is that the people that worked on it, I mean, they put like their blood, sweat, and tears into working on this show, that now it's canceled. And, I'm sure that they feel like they put so much into it. They want people to see it.
That is true, but I could say this because I'm a guy who does that. My brother was a character designer for the new film, The Watchmen, the animated film. I definitely feel that. I definitely understand that, like what you're saying. So that as an artist for many, many, many years, I understand that, and I am all about creators. I'm all about creator rights. I create things all the time to new intellectual properties and characters and things like that in books, so that artists have work, and then everyone gets to enjoy them and fans and all this stuff, right? If I work on a project, I'm getting paid. Now, I have the love for it. The fans have the love for it, but it's not like I didn't get to feed my family during the time that I was getting paid. So I don't bite the hand that feeds me. I don't throw away the gift that's given to me, that I get to get paid to do my art. Now, if somebody said to me, "Hey, Guy, we're coming over to you. I've got $60 million. We're never going to post it," or $1,000 for the day or something, and they go, "This may not see the light of day, but you're going to pay your mortgage." Oh, well, okay. And I get to draw and do what I want to do. Well, I'm going to put my passion in it, whether I'm making $2 and no one's ever seeing it, or I mean, 200,000 and no one's ever seeing it, or $2 and 1 million people are seeing it. As a creator, it doesn't matter what I'm getting paid. First of all, I have not that I don't get paid well, but but I've earned it. But but I also say to myself, would I rather be making coffees for people at Starbucks? Then there's nothing wrong with that, because I love a good coffee and a great barista. But for me, as a career artist, I want to do art and I want to get paid for my art. So, worst case scenario, I got paid to work on something for 2 years. I'm down in the dumps that it's not being produced at, but oh man, did I have fun working? It's about the journey. See, everyone forgets that. All of our lives are about the journey. It's not necessarily about the destination. So, as an artist, I want everything to come out, but I get paid to draw. And that company is the one that's financing that, so I can. Now, I want everyone's work to come out and everyone's work to be seen. And I want my stuff to be seen. But, I would urge everyone to try to take a broad view of how this works, but how this all works. And, but I am with you though, Nikki. I am with you as a fan. I go, I really want to see it. I really do. And I just hope that it comes out. And I get really disappointed when there's TV shows that I like. It's always like my favorite TV show that gets canceled. I'm like, yeah, this thing's going great. Yeah, I can't wait for next what? Cancel. In the middle of the season? How's that possible? This is so good.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just my 2 cents, but I'm glad I'm on this. I didn't expect to be on this one, but I'm kind of glad I am, because I have a lot of information that comes from both the fan side and the creative side, three sides, and the business side of it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely your insight on all of this has, I think, opened my eyes a little bit to understanding more about why things happen and not just looking at it as you're canceling Scooby. Like, how could you, you know? So it's
You
good.
know, the thing is, if I hear Scooby's being made, I just get love for for the characters, the creation of it. I want to see it all, but I haven't seen so many of the comics, and it's really not any different than not seeing a movie. I go back and I watch Zombie Island, like everyone does, or I'll just put it on, and like whatever Scooby-Doo is on television that I can see, I'm good with it. Just want it going on. I put on the original series, start from episode one, and just let it run. And because those things are not gone. There's another thing that I learned. It took me a long time to learn that those things are not gone. They didn't leave. If you don't like something that's coming out, first of all, it's good that something's coming out. Secondly, we can't look at it with the eyes of the generation that's looking at it that's younger, because we're not that generation. It is our time, though. Just because someone's young and gets to see it doesn't mean it's not still our time. We're still alive. When things come out new, it's still our time. We're still here. But all those old things, they're not gone. They're there. Turn them on, put them on, and watch that. Um, but I really, really think that fandom is going to be thought about more often now. To not just change the subject, but it's something I realized I see happening. The consumer won't buy what the consumer does not want. And you can put out whatever you want because you have enough money to. And that's your business. If somebody said to me, Guy, I like that character. You can't do that to the character. I'd be like, excuse me, I created it. It's mine. I pay for it to be made. And if you don't like it, then don't look at it. And there's a lot of stuff I don't like that comes out that I just don't look at because I don't like it. I don't want it different like everyone else. But when it's theirs, it's theirs. It's not mine. I don't own it. Jack Kirby. I don't know if anyone out there does not know who Jack Kirby is. Jack Kirby was the greatest American comic book mind of all time. He saved Marvel from the doors shutting down in the 60s, and he created some of the greatest characters that has ever been. Most of the Avengers and everything like that, but Marvel. But he said, he was asked about Captain America. What do you think about what they're doing with Captain America? Blah blah blah. It's the 90s or something. 90s. It was 80s or 70s, the late 70s or something. And he said, don't quote me on the timeline, I can't remember. But he said, well, it's theirs. That's out of my hands. It's theirs. And it was a very different thing than the way he originally felt. He was driving with his son, Neil, and Jack said, let's stop at a store. And they went into the store and they saw the Incredible Hulk Mego figure and this character and Fantastic Four and blah blah blah. And he was devastated because they didn't know any of that stuff was going to happen. So originally Jack was like that. And he was about creator rights, and we all want to be about creator rights. I am, like I said, I really am. And you can ask any of my friends. I always try to do whatever I can for any creators. At the end of the day, Jack did say, hey, it's theirs. What am I going to do about it? Theirs. So there is a part of that where I think a lot of people, no one has to do anything, but I'll say personally, as a fan, because if anyone thinks that people are fans greater than the people who are working on this stuff or creating this stuff or involved in all that industry. That's not true. We do love it. And that was your point, maybe. That was your point, that these people worked on it who loved it. But we also go, oh my God, I'm so happy I got the chance to work on it because they decided to do anything with this because I'm a fan of this character. So that's why you'll see, like I showed you my studio, well, part of my studio. I have toys everywhere. I have comics on the walls and Josie and the Pussycats and the Demon and Deadman and Alpha Flight and all my stuff over here. And I create these great characters all the time, video games, because I love this stuff. But it's not mine if it's not mine.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. It's and I guess creators should have the ability to do what they want with the characters. I think our biggest thing is we just want them to keep the integrity of the characters intact. And yeah. But back to Go-Go Mystery Machine. Like Joel, I also thought it was very much like the 13 Ghosts. And I'm hoping that they do it better than Curse of the 13th Ghost. Because yeah, we all know about that movie. And I'm hoping that they can do this a lot better than that. I'm looking forward to this. For a long time, I wasn't, because I just kept thinking, well, it's probably just going to be canceled, so I don't want to get my hopes up. But, you know, I want to look forward to it, because the more Scooby they release, the more merchandise we're going to get, the more they're going to keep Scooby alive, the more shows there are for new people to like Scooby, for fans to continue to like Scooby. I personally think that we need new Scooby. Joel, you haven't talked for a while. You should say something. You should
I'm
talk.
just caught up in all this cool information.
Right? I know. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's good to get like the inside scoop, you know, because we don't get to hear from the people that work in the industry. We just get mad at the industry for making decisions that they make. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I kind of wonder too with this new show if it's going to be more on the goofy side or more of the, because they're using real monsters in this one, so I'm assuming
Yeah.
it could get spooky, or they just might keep it silly. I'm not sure what direction they're gonna, if they're gonna balance it or if they're gonna. I hope they do the monsters right though.
Yeah, I hope so too. They could do some really cool things with monsters. I mean, we've seen the monsters of all different types in Scooby-Doo. Like Pup Named Scooby-Doo, they were so weird and wacky and
Yeah.
like childlike, and yeah, I mean a cheese monster.
Yeah.
But yeah, they could do some really cool things with the villains in this and the monsters. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to Go-Go Mystery Machine. I think you guys are looking forward to it too. Let us know what you think if you're looking forward to it. And thank you for joining us for another Scooby Panel Special Edition.
Yeah, I enjoyed myself. It was awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much for your insight. Very, very interesting to learn all of that.
Yeah.